Okay, so we have the second class of the Med instead of Meds class, and it's change your protein. So this is a pretty important one, probably one of the most arguably important things that you could do because they've done studies, I guess, and just one of the things that kind of rose to the top is the thing that made one of the most biggest difference was just like how people, by changing your protein or actually eating less meat. So they found that had a lot of benefits. So if I could, if we could do that, that would be awesome. So here, let me just, there. Okay. Okay, so let's get going. If I can. Okay, so just a reminder of the Mediterranean way that what it kind of looks like, right? So the key components are lots of fruits and vegetables. So all different colors and all different sizes, and this is the core of eating, okay? So just thinking about those, where you have those on your plate and in fruits, snacks and desserts, just wherever you can include the fruits and vegetables, that is awesome. And so then make all or most of your grains whole. So we're going to talk more about that in a different session. And then eating beans and legumes make these plant proteins your go-to. So that's the advantage of that, making beans and legumes your go-to is that they're usually pretty inexpensive. They can be very convenient in the can. And yeah, they can go a long way. So I guess they're really good for you. So eating fish and seafood at least 2 to 3 times a week. And then, so trying to put seafood on the menu, and we'll talk about that today. And then choosing nuts and seeds as snacks in addition, and additions to meals. So you can either, include them in your meals or add them in addition, and using herbs and spices to flavor your food, and drinking red wine in moderation. That's optional. Drinking up to 1 glass for women or 2 glasses of red wine per day. So, and then just also recommends the importance of, the physical activity and enjoying your meals. So this is a part 2. The Mediterranean diet also is they found, that's the people who are living the longest and doing the best, I guess, they're incorporating it, just some exercise into their day, just getting up every once in a while and taking walks, or, choosing something, going bird watching, or just, being outside sometimes and getting some exercise. And then enjoying meals and limiting added sugars. So we know that those don't really do anything good for us. So that would be the benefit to avoiding those so much. So what sets the Mediterranean way apart? That just reminder, it's simple, it uses simple ingredients and simple food preparation techniques. We don't have to buy any weird smoothie things or anything like that. It's delicious. It uses healthy fats, spices, herbs, and aromatics to make the food delicious and craveable. And it's satisfying, which is one of, I think, the best things about just eating a certain way is you want to feel satisfied. And so it uses food that helps increase your satisfaction. So it's like the whole grains, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds, and healthy fats. And it's kind of like, sometimes I tell people, I'm at the good full, where there's the full where you don't feel so good, but there's a good full where you ate a good meal and you just were like, that was good, and that's the Mediterranean way, trying to get you to that point. And so I just wanted to talk quickly then about the Mediterranean Medicine and Meds contest we made up here. So I have some Publix gift cards, and I would love if you guys would join me in this. I have some people who sent me the recipes, pictures of the recipes they made for the first class. And I know some people cooked along, so I'll try to get their names in there too, because I know they obviously made the recipes. But just only people registered for this class are eligible, if that makes sense. And just, I want you to submit via email a picture of the dish you make following the recipes presented in the class. So after today, you would have 4 recipes that you could submit in. And I'm going to keep track and put your name in a dish, right? Every time that you send me a picture. So then you have a better chance of winning the more that you do. And plus, you'll get to have the benefits of eating that way. And I'm hoping, what I was feeling is that maybe the more you make them, the more likely you are to kind of naturally move to this way of eating versus trying to, I guess, just quickly change things, or try to just choose things and keep the same way of eating. So then, so we'll do 1 per recipe, and all entries just submitted to me by 5:00 p.m. the night before our last class, so that I can draw the names at the last class then. And what we were thinking is that just if your name has already been drawn, it will be discarded and we'll get another name. So then you can win Publix gift card. Just, I know Just a fun incentive. So I know you guys are all on board anyway, but I'm just trying to make an incentive, make it a little fun. So send me a picture of any of those, and then you can get entered. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So how do you eat the Mediterranean way? So there's those 7 steps. So it's the changing the protein, swapping your fats, which we'll talk about next time, eating more vegetables, eating more fruits, snacking on nuts and seeds, making your grains whole, and rethinking your sweets. Yum. Okay, so today we will focus on changing your protein. So, just like what I talked about, excuse me, the Mediterranean way emphasizes eating primarily plant-based foods. So replacing some of the meats in their diet with plant proteins, like the beans and legumes, and trying to do that often. And then also eating fish and seafood 2 to 3 times a week, including, if you can include at least one fatty fish, including like mackerel or salmon, and trying to avoid fried fish because it doesn't have the same benefits. So choosing also white meat poultry, such as chicken and turkey, and limiting red meat or choosing lean red meat if you do have it. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, and we'll talk about that. So just here's the steps then. Number 1, it would be limiting meat. So that's beef, pork, and lamb. It's kind of funny because, you might think of a Greek restaurant. My mom's visiting me right now, and, we were going out, and she was like, "Oh, there's a Greek restaurant." And, sometimes they're really heavy on the meats and the, white breads and things like that. Like you can get skewers and things like that, and that wouldn't be eating the Mediterranean way. So just remember that there's not like one single flavor profile that's Mediterranean. You could eat Asian and do like a lot of fish, and you could do fruits and vegetables, and you would be eating like similar to what they would eat in the Mediterranean way traditionally. So you can do it all these different ways, but just limiting meat like the beef and the pork and the lamb. So they found that people who do that have better outcomes. And then limiting or eliminating highly processed meats and choosing white meat poultry. So that would be that chicken and the turkey, that's white meat. And then increasing fish and seafood, increasing plant proteins, beans, nuts, and seeds, and then Mediterranean way, dairy and eggs. And one of you guys asked me about dairy, so we'll talk about that today too. So changing just what I said, changing your protein could be one of the most impactful things you can do. So I sent a handout, and then this is also just repeat of that, but just here's kind of like, if you had to choose, like the more things like that you can do, beans and nuts and seeds, they are way, very important. And then fish and seafood, trying to get those in a couple of times a week. And, trying to replace your meat sometimes with beans and things like that. And we'll talk about that. And then eating fish, like 2 to 3 times a week. And that would be like the 3 to 4 ounce servings. So if you're having something like a really thin fish, that would be about the size of a checkbook. And then if you're having a fattier fish, like kind of thicker, that would be about the size of a deck of cards. But so 3 to 4 ounce servings would be equal to 1. So trying to have that at least 2 times a week. And then trying to have like a fattier fish one of the times, just because there's really good things in that fatty fish. White meat poultry, so that would be that turkey and the chicken breast. And then eggs and fat-free dairy. So trying to choose then, if you're going to have that, choose about eggs about 7 times per week. So they're not like the biggest thing in your diet, but, they're okay sometimes, and they do have them. And trying to choose fat-free dairy products such as fat-free yogurt and milk. And lean meat then, such as extra lean or lean pork, beef, lamb, or veal. So that would be the next one on that list, and trying to choose like loin or round in the name, and trying to look for less marbling. So that would be the fat, like that's going through it. And then, ask your grocer or your butcher for further assistance if you need help with that, because they'll be really good at knowing which ones are lean and extra lean. And then would come the dark meat poultry. So that would be, limiting that, such as chicken thighs and legs. So, we're getting a little farther away from what they traditionally eat. And then the higher fat dairy. So, try to choose skim milk or a lower percent milk when you're doing that. And then limiting cheeses because they have a lot of fat, and then limiting higher fat meats. So that would be like the pork and the beef, the veal, lamb, and having something such as liver, just to like maybe 3 ounces a month. So if you like consumption of organs, that would be something not too often. And highly processed meat, just greatly limit or eliminate highly processed meats such as bacon, sausage, and most deli meat. So I know this is not probably the best news, but we'll talk about some ways to deal with the bacon loss. So limiting meat such as the beef, pork, and lamb amounts suggested may vary. we suggest no more than two to three times per month. So I was talking to someone, she was like 2 to 3 times per week. I was like per month. Just they really, the less is better. And so trying to choose those things less often can really improve your health. Yeah, so more fish and more plants. So if you can just focus on adding those in, maybe you won't miss the others so much. And just thinking, if you do really want to consume those, just remember the leaner options are way better choices. So you can go that way. And then thinking about how you could do this then. So here's just a tip. Replacing half of the ground meat in your recipes with vegetables. And this can work pretty well. You kind of saw on the mushroom burgers that we did last week, it does hold pretty well. And mushrooms are great because they have that same meaty texture as meat does. And I went to a conference once, and the mushroom people were there, and they had like sloppy joes. No one could even tell that they were made out of mushrooms. It's kind of amazing what you can do with those. So that would be a good thing. And then beans can really work, or ground nuts. So replacing half of the ground meat in your recipes with vegetables can really work. So thinking about even in chili, maybe doing extra beans and half of the meat, or if you're making lasagna, putting mushrooms in there, ground mushrooms, or putting beans in there. And this can help you decrease the amount of meat while it's still helping you enjoy that familiar flavor then. So the mushroom beef burger and then the mushroom beef taco are just examples of how you replace half the ground beef with finely chopped mushrooms. And so, yeah, just because of that meaty flavor. And then if you, in place of ground meat, you could also opt for ground turkey or ground chicken, because we're like, oh, ground chicken and ground turkey to be a little bit more Mediterranean. Okay, so then some more tips, just changing your protein, then greatly limit or try to eliminate highly processed meats. So research show that there's no safe level of highly processed meat consumption. As such, it is important to limit consumption to very rare occasions or eliminate it from your diet entirely. So you try to use less bacon in recipes, and then a tip might be freezing bacon and using it one piece at a time. So I know a lady who does that, so she has found her family loves bacon. And so she was like working on eating more the Mediterranean way. And she, sometimes like it'll call for, 4 strips of bacon for the salad or something like that. And so she has found that just, reducing the amount of bacon, just even to like one piece. And she said that you can still get that flavor in there because, there's that distinct, flavor that some people really enjoy in bacon. So try to use, she said she keeps a pack of it in her freezer, and then she just takes it out one strip at a time. So when she needs it, but that could be a way, just to have it, kind of for flavor, but not make it a dominant part of your diet. And that's same with sausage and things like that. So that would be the highly processed meat and deli meat too. So just a life hack then. So life hacks are just meant to make your life a little bit easier. So just when thinking about it, even if you don't have a big family, make white meat, like you could do chicken breast and just putting, a lot in the oven, because then you can freeze it and then it'll be there for you and ready whenever you just need something to go. And, just making the healthy things the easy, like an easy choice or like readily available can really help you. So just cooking enough chicken for 2 to 3 meals, load up your grill, oven, or stovetop, and then trying to, maybe make a turkey every once in a while and just put some in the freezer. So that could be a really great protein too. And so like when we're eating lower on the food chain, that's better for the environment. So not only is it better for us, but it's better for the planet too. So that would be just an extra bonus. Yeah, particularly plant proteins can really help you do that. They have a smaller environmental footprint than meat production. So then we have fish, eating those like 2 to 3 times a week. So there's lots of ways you can get fish, salmon burger. There's the basil, shrimp, and tomato pasta with feta, fish tacos with avocado mango salsa. And those are all on the Med Instead of Meds recipes. So just trying to have that at least 2 to 3 times a week. That would be the 3 to 4 ounce serving, and then trying to have at least 1 serving per week of the high fish, such as high fatty fish, such as salmon. And then there's the recipes online. It's medinsteadofmeds.com, and you can check that out for some ideas. Some people don't really like fish, but there are some really good recipes on there. Yes, so I think just take a look and see if you might be willing to try. I know another lady who was trying to do the Mediterranean way, but she has salmon Saturday. So every single Saturday, just to make her life easier for planning meals, she has salmon. And so that would be one way she knows that at least once a week she's getting, some fish in and getting, really the high fatty fish. So she kind of does that, just incorporates it into her meal plan. And that could be an idea. You know how sometimes people do like Taco Tuesday and you can have salmon Saturday. So just a thought on that. And common questions. So these are some things like a lot of people ask, do I have to eat fish to be Mediterranean? What do I do about fish being expensive? And what about mercury? Is farm raised fish okay? So these are all good questions. So do you have to eat fish to go med? You can incorporate the other aspects of eating the Mediterranean way and leaving fish and seafood out. And you can still have a healthy dietary eating pattern. But I encourage you to try out some of the recipes on there and see if maybe I could change your mind with a couple of them. There's some good ones, and all the fish is not the same. You might find one that you really enjoy. So that, and then just talking about the expense then. So choosing canned can really help. They're healthy and affordable options. So you can choose them that are packed in water or olive oil, and then trying to look for sales, taking advantage of those and getting coupons when you can. But then the other thing just to remember too is, say you're eating, like the more plant proteins, also like the beans and the, mushrooms, nuts and stuff, instead of cuts of so much meat and poultry, or meat and pork and lamb. So, you'll be saving money by buying less of that meat. So maybe you could put some of that towards buying the fish, because I recognize that it can be expensive. So what about mercury? So one of the biggest things I would say is just don't let the fear of mercury stand between you and eating fish. So they were actually, they were doing some studies to see if the mercury was even something that we should really be focusing on. And there's been no reports of somebody getting mercury toxicity from eating fish. We just don't eat enough of it. So mercury, yeah, it's not good, but low mercury fish, these are lists, and salmon's on there, and a lot of other things that we eat are on there. So like most common things that we eat, have in the United States present very little risk of contaminants like mercury, while they offer so many health and nutrition benefits. So if you can choose fish, that would be great. And so these are low mercury ones, and they would be good choices. So why do they have mercury? So methyl mercury, it enters the environment and is consumed by those smaller fish. You see that there on the picture. And they're consumed by larger fish, and they're consumed by even larger fish. And this is called bioaccumulation, and it results in the larger fish having even more larger amounts of mercury. So you can see the list of ones that are low in mercury, and the ones that are high, they're usually pretty expensive. So it's kind of nice because I guess usually we just wouldn't happen to choose those anyway. So there's a low mercury fish there. And then that's also on that handout. There's some people that really should be cautious and just make sure to double check on the mercury, and that would be pregnant women and small children. So they really just, these are the ones like you or I could eat them just, every once in a while, and we would be fine. But just they really recommend that because they're so high mercury, just that pregnant women and small children stay away from like shark, swordfish, king mackerel, tilefish, marlin, orange roughy, big-eyed tuna, and if there's contaminated water. So sometimes small ponds can be contaminated. So that'd be something to check with your county or your health department to see. And so trying to eat a variety of low mercury fish each week can be a really good win. So that would be like the canned. So there's albacore tuna, and then there's the canned white meat tuna, or canned the regular tuna. I don't even know. Okay, so albacore and then other tuna. So the cheaper one, if you remember that one has less mercury. And the albacore, just 1 or 2 times a week is definitely fine. Just that, if you're loving tuna, maybe choosing the lower or that non-albacore one can be a good option. So what is better than farm raised or wild caught? So I was doing so much research on this because I think somebody had just asked me, and I really, I think that's a common question. So it's kind of frustrating because it is possible to give a sweeping statement on whether farm raised or wild caught is better. The farms, a lot of them have really upped their standards and are doing really great sustainable work. So it kind of depends on the specifics of the seafood item being consumed and how it was produced. So that to say, basically, there are some good farm raised, there are some good wild caught, and there are like not so great farm raised and not so great wild caught. So what you can do if you're interested in this is I've started just looking after this, trying to do the research I found on the tuna, and Amanda will show you today, but it's just there's actually a mark on it of a seal that I looked up what it was, and that it just meant that it was wild caught and it was farmed sustainably from its life to its, to the end. So that was, kind of cool that you can see that on there. And we were also looking up different things online and trying to look at their labels, and other things have them too. So just trying to look for that sustainable thing, or you can go to seafoodwatch.org. So you guys will have to try that. It's just kind of cool. You type in whatever fish you kind of would like to eat, and then it'll give you the best choices and then ones to avoid. So if you're interested in that, but yeah, fish has lots of benefits, and if you would like to look more into that, but either way, don't let it stop you from eating it. So here's that Seafood Watch that can help you decide. So you kind of put the fish in there, and then it'll give you the best choices. So there's seafoodhealthfacts.org. That's another one. But there's the one I saw, the label I saw on the tuna was Marine Stewardship Council, and that's only for things that are wild. There's other things for the farmed, but it just means that it's one of the largest and most globally recognized eco-label for wild-caught seafood. So it has high standards. So that's, it's nice to know, like, we can do that if we would like. And that would be great. So, and then changing your protein, increasing your plant protein then, and eating more plant-based proteins like beans and legumes. They're a great way to improve your health. Beans and legumes are lower in calories, higher in fiber than other sources of protein. So they have that benefit. Then they're also pretty low in cost, which is nice. And they provide a sense of fullness and satiety. So, kind of like Amanda and I with our black bean smoothie, right? It just can give you some great protein and help you feel satisfied at the same time, while also tasting good. So here's just a life hack then. But to increase your plant protein. So thinking about making beans and legumes in bulk. So legumes, I mean like the lentils, chickpeas, things like that. And then the beans, any kind of dried beans like kidney beans, pinto beans, black-eyed peas, lima beans even, and black beans. What did I miss? Cannellini beans. So just cooking beans and legumes in bulk then. So you'll have those on hand, and then freezing them for the next few days or for later use. So you can make like a double batch of like lentils with cumin vinaigrette recipe, and use this as a bed for fish or chicken, or make double of the quinoa pinto bean burger recipe and freeze half for later use. And then the hummus, that you could just do that and start putting that on things like sandwiches. That's your new bread spread, and as a dip for snacks. So those recipes are on there too, but just trying to think about how you could, use beans and throw them in later. And sometimes they really work great. And like there's a bean that could replace, most meat in almost any recipe. So say you like shepherd's pie, you can do it with like kidney beans or pinto beans in place of some of the meat. So beginner beans, just as suggested, there are great beginner beans because you don't have to soak them. They are short cooking time. There's a variety of types and colors. They come in red, black, brown, green. And so the cool thing about that is they have different textures, and some of them get softer when you cook them, and some of them have like a kind of a meatier texture. So you can kind of see which ones you like the best. And they go in lots of different recipes. So we're actually making the one on the left today. So you'll get to try that. Then just a good idea would be a life hack then. Life hack would be to just soak the beans for 48 hours, and we'll talk about why you could do that. Draining them, putting them in a slow cooker with some stock to give them some extra good flavor, and cook for 8 to 10 hours on low. And so this would be a good way to just, you'll have a bunch of beans and you can put some in the freezer and just, then they're there for you to use whenever you want. And that is very helpful in life when you're trying to eat beans. So the one thing, why don't people eat more beans, right? So they are really good for you. They're really inexpensive. They are high in fiber. They have great protein. There's no side effects other than, maybe gas. So that's like the number one reason people don't eat them. So here are some ideas on how to prevent that then. So ways to reduce the gas would be to soak for 48 hours and trying to change that rinsing water at least once if you can. Because when you soak it, the things that make it hard for us to digest, they go into the water. So then by rinsing it out, that would be a way to get rid of the gas causing things. So changing the water at least once, rinsing the beans very well after soaking because they're going to run out, and cook until very soft because that will help you digest them better and keep them fully submerged in the water while cooking. That'll help you cook them better. So chewing them well too, so that's kind of up to you, but chewing them well can help your body digest the beans and then reduce the gas. And going slow, so adding beans slowly in your diet. Like some people think hummus is a great way to start because it's made out of beans and you can just put it on sandwiches and things like that. So you're kind of getting a lower amount. But if you increase, your body's going to get used to it and you won't have the gas side effects anymore, which is really cool. And then adding spices that aid in digestion. So ginger is a good one. We might have that on hand more often, but kombu is one you can get. It's a seaweed. They have it in Japan, but you can get it online. And cumin, so some of us have that too, and so we're going to put that in the recipe today. But those help aid in digestion. And also ajuan, it's a seed that is used as a spice, especially in South Asian cooking. It kind of tastes like oregano, so that could be an option. And then there's espazote. I don't know if I'm quite saying it right, but it's a aromatic herb, and the leaves and stems are used in cooking, native to Central America, and it's purported to reduce the gas and bloating experienced by many people when eating beans and cruciferous vegetables. Excuse me. Okay, so you can kind of see those names on there, and that can maybe help. And then rinsing them well again also can help reduce the gas. So now what? So you have this pot of beans in your refrigerator. You have some cans. So what can you do with them? So like we talked about, you could add them in a smoothie or you could add them in a salad, beans and rice, hummus or other spread. You could do a pinto bean spread, burritos, tacos. You could do a side dish and drizzle it with olive oil. Bean soup, what you do is you would just blend half of them in a blender and then add them back to the pot. So you'd have some that are non-blended and some that are, and that can be an excellent bean soup, just a quick thing. And so those things can be used in lots of different ways. And then what about vegetarian in the Mediterranean way? So eating vegetarian is consistent with the Mediterranean way of eating. Protein is usually not an issue if you're consuming plant proteins such as beans and legumes. So sometimes that might be surprising, but they found that most vegetarians, they don't have a problem with meeting their protein needs. So fish and seafood, that could be the one thing that vegetarians are missing in the Mediterranean way of eating. But there's vegetarian omega fatty acids that you can take supplements, but you can only get that EPA and DHA, in fatty fish. But there's algae that you can get it from for vegetarian if you would like to go that way. So maybe talk to your doctor. And then B12 if you're vegan. So that means you're not consuming any animal foods at all. And if you're not consuming fortified foods, like things like cereals sometimes have B12 added, you might need to supplement B12 because that's only found in those animal products. And so, fortified foods. So you just need to be aware of that. And SoFu can work. It's not maybe your go-to all the time, but it can be a good option. So what about dairy, eggs, and the Mediterranean way? So the traditional Mediterranean diet is not especially high in dairy, but it does, 1 to 2 servings per day. A lot of the people do. So yogurt, when you choose it, lower fat-free, cheese in small amounts then, and then fat-free milk in small amounts. So one thing, I called an expert in this area and I was just talking to her about the dairy because somebody had asked me, one of you guys, just about, doing kefir or kefir and yogurt and things like that, because we know they have a lot of benefits with good bacteria and things like that. And, she was saying, fermented foods, they're definitely a part of the Mediterranean diet. So those would be, if you're going to choose dairy, the 1 to 2 servings per week, if you could make those something with those probiotics, that would be excellent. But the cheese kind of, you try to use in smaller amounts versus like, here's a blanket of cheese, they don't really do that. They do more like a sprinkle of cheese to help add the flavor, and then choosing skim or low fat milk, and then the eggs up to 7 per week. So, choosing if you're eating higher fat dairy, if you like, full fat milk or yogurt or things like that, try to eat it in smaller amounts. It's just that Mediterranean diet is really low in saturated fat, and that can be one of the benefits. So our Heart Association recommends a lower saturated diet based on the evidence that we have now. And to take changes to change your protein then, so limiting the meat, beef, pork, lamb, limiting highly processed meat, choosing white meat, poultry, increasing fish and seafood, increasing plant protein such as the beans, nuts, and seeds, and then doing the Mediterranean way, dairy and eggs, so just a couple times a week. And that's really impactful change if you guys can do some things that would help with that. I think, just switching, half of the meat sometimes to beans or a vegetable, that can be one of the easiest ways to start and can really help. Mindful eating is also important. So that means eating with awareness of what is on your plate and also the entire eating experience. So you're kind of, just really enjoying your food, and that can help you feel more satisfied too than kind of like, when you're automatically eating, you're just, you're not getting to really enjoy it. Then meal planning is a key step to being mindful for your entire eating pattern, because if you kind of pick out the things that you're going to have for that next week, that can kind of put you a little bit more in control, and it can help you be mindful in these types of proteins that you're missing. So to assist you in changing your protein, make it easier to choose healthy proteins such as plant-based proteins, fish, seafood, and white meat, poultry on a regular basis. So if you kind of pick out your foods ahead of time, that can really help. So thinking about making time to plan. So setting aside, 30 minutes, and it's not that long, like in a course of a day, and you'll have it done for that week. And making a list of the main dishes and side dishes you'll serve every night, and using Mediterranean way recipes to help you plan. So you can find what works for you. You might be comfortable just doing a few days at a time, but things like Salmon Saturday and Taco Tuesday, they can help you. And then trying to include the Mediterranean foods when you do it. So select recipes with few ingredients. Sometimes that can help be simpler. It doesn't have to be complicated to be delicious. That's important to know. Choosing recipes that you're comfortable in preparing, and then you will learn how to prepare many recipes during these classes. Hopefully, that's what our goal is. And choosing entrees that can be simple cooking techniques such as sauteing, roasting, grilling. It's okay to keep it simple. And making a shopping list then. So making a list of all the items that you need for the week. Like when I'm going to do those recipes, I look at all the ingredients, I cross out ones I already have, and then you circle like ones you still need to get. So just thinking about maybe how you could do it with your life and checking what you have, because then you can use up the older first if you have it on hand, and include the basics. So that you and your family use every week. So maybe you guys always have shredded wheat in the morning. And so just, that would be something else you include on your list. Tips, keeping it interesting then. If you have kids or if you have grandkids, if you can get them involved, they're way more likely to eat it. So research has shown like the more they are involved in the meal, the more luck you have with them eating it. So if they get to like, which vegetable would you like to try like this week? What do you think? And then letting them pick, they're way more invested in that then. And then it sometimes takes 10 to 20 tries before a children learns to like a new food, which can be very hard not to give up. But it's kind of cool. Like they just are learning to, I guess, get used to the taste. Like we like things that are familiar to us, and some of the things are easier to become familiar with than others. So sometimes vegetables can be a little bit hard. And then choosing a food, like, giving special menu names such as Janet's tuna salad or Jeff's chicken and sweet potatoes, Zach's roasted zucchini, just that can also, just make it more fun. They've done studies that have shown that like they did it at school lunchrooms where they named the foods like fun names like blast off peas or something like that, and kids were more likely to eat that. So it's kind of cool, right? Probably adults too. And then using foods that are in season. So you plan for fruits and vegetables that are, in the stores or farmers markets, they're usually on the end cap and ideally on sale because they would taste the best and they'd have like the most supply of them right now. And they're just, that would be the time to eat them. Like strawberries for us are coming right out here. So very exciting. So try a new recipe each week and then try to continue to build on the meals that you know how to make and then your family likes. And then eventually you'll get like a good, chunk of go-tos where you can just, your family will like them, it's good for you, it's delicious. That's what can make life easier. So just keeping balance in mind when you're planning then, trying to think about that plate. Can you help you visualize like how much of everything that you would want? This is the Mediterranean plate. It's what they do. And then thinking of leftovers as like planned overs. There's like sometimes there, strong opinions on leftovers, like I don't eat leftovers and things like that. But if you can think of them as just a separate ingredient and try to use them again second time around, maybe they'll get a better wrap. Okay, so you know how you cut onions ahead of time sometimes or something like that. So if you think about them, we don't consider them leftovers. So like, if something has sat in the fridge, maybe just we can use it in some other way. And so trying to think of as an ingredient, like, okay, so we have mac and cheese now, like what could I do with that? Can I put it in maybe with some peas and some tuna and make like another type of dish with it, and then freshen it up? So sometimes like, adding a little like excuse me, adding some things like, just lemon, or adding some extra tomato sauce on the lasagna, just can keep it moist when you're doing it again. And just thinking about also how you could reuse it, just with chicken, I think is kind of a easy one. You guys probably think of a number of ideas to do with chicken. So you have roasted chicken one night, then you could reinvent the chicken into quesadillas the next night, or you could put it in green salad, or you could chop it up and make chicken salad with some walnuts and your grapes and celery and olive oil. So there's lots of different ways to just try to figure out how to use different things. Somebody once asked me, she said, I have a bunch of mashed potatoes in my fridge right now, like what can I do with them? And so we were listing off different things you can do with mashed potatoes, and it's kind of fun when you start to like just really think about, maybe I could use this after all. They can go in biscuits, there's that, and just there are a lot of different fun mashed potato patties. Did you know there's a thing? So yeah, just thinking about how you could do that, because that'll help save you money. And then a life hack: organize your pantry, your refrigerator, freezer. I know that the things that are easiest for me to grab, I'm way more likely to use. I know I have some bins down in one of my cupboards, and they're kind of like behind other bins, and it's just not an incentive to use them. It's hard to get when you're just like something like that. So keeping some things that you want to use available can really, really help you, and then you'd be more likely to use them too. Okay, so one more thing is just to be mindful about that meal planning, food buying, and food preparation. So be realistic about how much time you're willing to give for food prep and stuff like that. If you're not one of those people who are going to make like an expansive meal every night, give yourself a break and just, try to think of simple things that you can easily throw together. And remember, like, healthy eating too is a continuum, like not an absolute. So it's not like either you eat this way or nothing. Like you can just, the Mediterranean way, it's important, I guess, just to know that there's you don't have to be perfect. And so even if you can be like healthy-ish, it'll really help you. Okay, so there's times like when maybe you're not eating the Mediterranean way, but the more you can, the more you'll feel better, and I guess you'll have the health benefits. So here's meal planning in action then. So this I sent to, it's just really nice because you can include, like, you're looking at your week. So you got some commitments that include food. So like this week, I'm doing a Citizens Police Academy with Lakeland. So they luckily provide us dinner. So on Thursday night, I'm like covered. Okay. So then looking at the other nights, like what do I have to use up? And then putting that in there and then adding on what side dish I want. And then if I don't, kind of looking at all those things, figuring out those ingredients. So like, do I have chicken to make roast chicken? And so if I don't, then I put it on the buy that list. So then you kind of look in your fridge. So you already have, some beets in there, so you don't need to buy those, but just that can really help you, because then you just buy that and you're more likely to stick with your list instead of veering off into like lots of temptations at the grocery store. So start with commitments that include food. You add the weekly standards, like you're like, okay, well, I want fish, 2 times a week. So maybe you can just jot in fish 2 times, like the kind you want. Maybe you'll have shrimp one day and salmon another. Add family go-tos. Say you guys love pizza, so you're gonna add that in. And then adding meals based on foods you have on hand. So like, are you meaning to use up the mashed potatoes? So we're having mashed potato pie on Tuesday. Foods that you have on hand, items that you plan to prep for the week then, and kind of look through that, and schedule time for that shopping and the prep work. And so then it kind of makes it a lot easier just to stick with what you want to eat, and you'll feel like less stressed. You'll take less time because you won't have to run to the store every night. These things can really help. So life hack then: finding your family standards, such as salmon Saturday, finding the family's go-tos. Like maybe you did that thing with the macaroni and cheese and add peas, and you add tuna with it, and they really liked it. So maybe, that could be one of your staples. And so just changing your protein, then just remembering there's those recipes on there if you need some thoughts, and it can help you change that protein. And here's some different ways. Just some pictures of some of the recipes that they have there. So there's that white bean hummus. One lady said she added garlic to it and she really loved that. So if you're interested in that, then we're doing that lentil and beet salad today to help kind of see how you could use those lentils. And then whole wheat pasta with beans and greens. We got mushroom beef taco, tuna burger. There's also a salmon burger on there, an almond burger. Here's a salmon burger now. Quinoa pinto bean burger, turkey and bean taco salad. We got black bean soup, and that's what we have. So we're gonna do the Mediterranean tuna salad today, and then we're also gonna do the lentil and beet salad. And so Amanda, she's my intern from Kaiser University, and she's gonna do the Mediterranean tuna salad. I wonder, do you guys have any questions? I gotta see if I can unmute you.
I have a question. Could you repeat that about soaking the lentils?
Okay, the beans you soak, but lentils you don't have to soak, which is really nice. They have so the lentils, they're those they're the flatter type of beans and peas. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything?
I have a question. When you were talking about you hear me?
Yeah, just you cut out a little bit for a second.
Okay. I know I cook a lot of dried beans, but instead of soaking it 48 hours, it gives you a quick way to do it where you bring it to a boil and then rinse them and then start. Does that have the same beneficial effect as far as the gas issue, or does it not?
Yes, and I'm surprised it wasn't. I didn't mention it in the presentation, but they found that way, just like bring it to it. So say you don't want to wait, I want the beans, way sooner than 48 hours. So then you can take the beans, put them in a pot, just like what she said, bring them to a boil for about a minute, and then you just shut them off and kind of let them sit for at least a couple hours, I believe, or at least an hour. And so then you can drain that. If you drain that, then that's the key part. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so draining that can really help.
But I didn't know if everybody realized that, because I always think of it 48 hours ahead, So.
I know. That's me too. I tend to do that way a lot. And they just found, the more you can rinse them, I usually do the overnight, I'll remember the night of, I'm I really want beans tomorrow. So then just, I'll try to change them, once before I go to bed, and then I'll just change them in the morning again before I cook them. So that can work.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I don't think you mentioned that about changing waters. Is that a key element? I mean, I'm used to putting them on the water and soaking them overnight, but I just rinse them then and then proceed to cooking. I didn't think, what is it about changing waters that's helpful?
It just they usually, the things that cause the gas sometimes go into the water. So I guess just getting fresh water, I think they've just found that, kind of doing it a little bit more often can help reduce the gas, which I don't know if there's it gets to a certain level in the water, it just can't handle. But I think the main thing would just be rinsing them at least once before you cook them. And so you drain them, right, Janetta?
Right.
Okay, yeah. So then just using that fresh water can really help. Any other things we
got? A serving of beans, half a cup. What would you call a serving of beans?
Half a cup is a serving. Yeah. I always get mixed up because rice is like a third, it's about a half a cup, and 1/4 cup of lentils dried is a serving. So that helps. And then it equals about a half cup, or maybe even a cup. I'm not sure. On the, I think, on the labels, it's confusing because I think they have 1 cup as a serving sometimes on the labels, but really only a half cup is equal to 1 protein serving. So it's kind of
And do you mean a half cup cooked?
cooked. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
One of the recipes called for skim milk.
Yeah.
Publix didn't have anything that said skim milk. Is that just no fat milk?
Yeah. So skim milk
Okay.
would be the same as the fat free. I know it's confusing for people. Like, what do they do this for? I don't know. But yes. So that's just the one. No water's added or anything. It's just they take off all the fat. So fat free. Yeah. You got it. Okay. Should we go cook? Yes. Okay. I will just take a second. So if you guys want to take a quick break, I really appreciate it. I will resume in a second when I get this thing up better.
Can everyone hear me? So I'm going to make the Mediterranean tuna salad today. My name is Amanda. I'm a dietetic intern here under Andrea. So when we looked at the tuna, we found on the label that this is sustainable fish. So that's nice that they put that, you know, that you're getting that in this tuna. You start with, we already drained this tuna. You start with 2 cans, either in water or olive oil. And then half a cup of minced carrots. I got shredded carrots and just minced them that way. It was time, save some time. Half a cup of chopped celery for some crunch. 1/4 a cup of red onion, and 1/4 a cup of either minced black olive or pickle, whichever one you prefer. And it also calls for 1/2 a cup of minced bell pepper, so I'm going to show you how I cut it. I take it and I put it on its side and cut off the top. Do the same, cut off the bottom. And then from here, I'm going to do 4 cuts. So the first cut down this side. These white, if you have any white left in here, this part is known to be bitter, so I would cut that part off as well. And if you want to utilize the whole pepper, you can chop up this bottom part, and the top part, you can just push the stem right through and use this as well. So I'm going to guess that just one of these equals 1/2 a cup. First, I cut it vertically into some thin strips. And then just turn it and cut the other way into your desired chunks. Not bad. Something interesting about bell pepper is that it's very high in vitamin C. So 1/2 a cup of bell pepper is equal to 100% of vitamin C that you need for a day. So you know that while you're making this makes 4 servings, so you have 1/4 of your vitamin C for the day. But it has to be raw, like this. Another trick is with the knife, you do like a rocking motion. What's good about protein is that it's low in calories, but it's high in protein. That's what's good about tuna. So, that's not always easy to find. Hopefully you guys can chop peppers quicker than me. So you're just going to stir all of this together. And it calls for a tablespoon of olive oil. So this would be substituting your mayo to make it wet. And a good way to get in your healthy fats. And this can go with toast as a sandwich, or I'm going to do on a bed of baby arugula, which we already have for the next recipe. Mine looks really good. I'll show you. It's very colorful. And pepper and cayenne pepper to taste. I can't eat cayenne pepper, so I'm going to skip this one. I'm pretty spice sensitive. 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, or as I like to call, a pinch. I really like this as well because sometimes you're not always in the mood to cook or make something complicated, and this is just simple, but it's nutritious and quick to make. Each serving is 1 cup, so you can measure that out if you want to. I'm just going to scoop mine. I'm just going to eyeball it. And there you go. Clap for myself.
Okay. That does look good.
Yeah.
I haven't tried this yet. You guys will have to tell us what you think. All right, quick switch. Is there any way to put that on the spotlight view? I didn't do it apparently. Our speaker. I'm gonna try this. Okay, there we go. Okay. Good job, Amanda. She has been great, you guys. I'm very blessed. Okay, let me. Quick switch. Like the other recipe never happened. I think I need to get some background music. Yeah.
I know, it's so quiet.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, you guys are coming along with me. You guys are probably done with both the recipes already. All right, so we're doing the lentil and beet salad now. Okay, so I just washed my hands. Good to go. I touch my hair. All right, first things first, we need to get the shallot sauteed. So I'm going to cut that. So a shallot is actually, it's a type of onion, and it's smaller, as you can see, than a normal onion. Let me move this thing back. Remember last time I cut off my head. I'll see if that works. You don't. Okay, so we have the shallot here, and we got them when we went to Walmart, this was the only one they had. They had the version like this. Sometimes that you can find them loose. They're in the onion garlic section, and what they taste like is they're mild. They're milder than onion, so that's great when you want to eat them raw. Or they just have kind of like they give this like mild, sweeter kind of just a little bit of a push, whereas onions are kind of like they're there. So that's why people really chefs use shallots a lot. So I'm going to cut off the tip, and that would be the key to getting this paper off. And so and I just peel that off. Oh, and I have to show you guys too. This can of tuna, I don't know. Did you show them the seal? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I missed it, but it is so cool that it's on there. Just we didn't notice it until we bought it. So, okay, so I have a shallot here, and so what I'm going to do is I still have the root in there, so I'm just going to cut it in half and leave the root end on there because that'll make it so there's a flat surface so that it's easier to cut. Because otherwise, it's like rolling away, So to mince it, then my goal would be to just make like long cuts like that, like without cutting through the root end. So we got the root end, and then you make long cuts, and then you just do it the other way. So making some long cuts, and they call for, I believe, 1 whole shallot. Is that correct? Yes. You have to do both sides. Do you mind grabbing a spatula to saute that? It's probably that will work. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. We got 1/2. Then you do the long cuts again. You can see it, okay. When you get to the end, you can kind of put the end down and then cut that too if you have to. Okay, we got that. I'm going to turn on this nifty thing here, and we're going to put in 1/4 cup. So this is really getting, so olive oil, they recommend about 4 tablespoons a day per person in the Mediterranean way. They eat so much olive oil. So we're doing a 1/4 cup in this, and then we're adding the shallot in there. So we're going to make the vinaigrette this way by, heating the oil, sauteing the shallot, and then we'll add the cumin and cook it 1 minute, and then we'll add the rest of the things. So let's do olive oil. All right. I'll put this on. Say medium or medium high. Throw that away. And goes the shallot. Okay. So we will watch that. Olive oil. Okay. And then we have baby arugula. So they suggested a bag. One thing that's not so good about this recipe is they should have said the bag size. Amanda and I were talking, if something says like a can of pineapple, you know how many cans of pineapple sizes there are? So really ideally they would have said, but in this recipe, luckily we're not baking. So it doesn't have to be as precise measurements. So we want this big box thing of arugula. And so this will serve 4, so I'm just going to guess. Probably use a good amount of it anyway. Okay. We'll see, just a little bit. Okay, and then, so that will go, half of the dressing will go on this, and then the other half will go on the lentils, which are already cooked. So I made these one day at work, actually, and just had the little burner thing, like this thing, sitting by me so that I could watch them. And they don't take that long. They take like about 15 minutes or a little bit longer. Mine, I think I probably overcooked them a little bit. So we'll just saute this a little bit. Ah, it smells good. Okay. So you got that. Then we'll add the cumin. Just kind of, I think we'll just do it till they're a little bit soft. Glad you guys are trying this. for those of you who are trying it, if you can send me a picture so I enter you in the drawing and just make sure I don't miss you. That would be great. I'm medium low here. All right, so we have the cumin, and then we cook it for 1 minute, and we'll remove heat and add vinegar, so 2 tablespoons of vinegar. And then I have a Meyer lemon, actually. So Meyer, the difference between these and the other lemons, they're just a little bit sweeter. So I have this, and we only need a tablespoon, I believe. So with that. That's good. Okay. So we have and then I will drain the beets. So I have to tell you guys about, it calls for a can of beets, which is really nice that you don't have to, it's a shortcut kind of recipe. That I did a science fair project in 6th grade coloring fabric, and we use that. So just FYI, if you have anything white near you, it's a really great, they use it for dyes. It's a kind of fun thing. And also one of the cool things about beets is that they help dilate your blood vessels, or like help them expand. So they found they actually help with exercise performance. Like people who drink beet juice before exercising can exercise longer without getting tired. Is that not cool? So that's an advantage of that. So I'm sure you're getting a little bit of that for sure eating the beets. So I'm going to throw in the cumin, which we need 1 teaspoon. It's kind of a cumin vinaigrette. So cumin is in. I'll say that about 1 minute. It's kind of looking good. Okay, so after that does that, then we'll add in the 2 tablespoons of this, 1 tablespoon of lemon, cayenne, salt, and pepper. So I'm gonna put the cayenne in here. Don't tell Amanda. Will you grab the cayenne, Amanda? And okay, so a pinch of salt and pepper and pinch of cayenne. So about a pinch would be about a tablespoon. Just kidding. That's what I like, right? Okay. So this is all. We're done with that. It does smell good. Yeah. Okay. So in goes the rest. So we got 2 tablespoons of stomach. Yum yum. Okay, so 2 of those. We have the lemon juice. See how close we can get this to in the thing. Not bad, right? Lemon juice. Okay. And I'm obviously a very clean cook. I don't know about you guys. Okay. Smells good. Okay. All right. So we have all of that in there. Pinch of cayenne. Almost forgot. That would have been glad. Okay, and then pepper and a dash of salt.
I'll try the cayenne.
She said she tried the cayenne, guys. It might just bring out flavors, So we got that. We have all the spices now. All right. So, okay. So we cook the lentils until they're tender. I didn't use salt, but salt might have made them stay together better, and that's true with beans too. But I'm fine with them like this, so as long as Amanda is. Okay, so we drain the lentils then, and we're gonna toss them with half of that vinaigrette, and then the other half of the vinaigrette we're gonna put on the arugula in the other bowl, and then we'll put the beets in quarters and then divide them between 4 plates, or we'll just do one demo one and you will have lots of options. Okay.
Maureen asked if it's good to drink beet juice.
So it's looking like, yes, it is good to drink beet juice, but I would say, like the beets have fiber and stuff like that. So, but they have found that it's pretty good. So if you're going to do a juice, I would say that could be a good option.
And do they come salted?
The beets?
Yeah.
Yeah, 11%. So rinsing them could be a good option. You could get rid of some of that sodium. I didn't really add very much in here, so I was like, maybe it'll be okay with everything. But if you're very salt sensitive, like your blood pressure, you find goes up if you eat a lot of salt pretty easily, then I would say, rinsing them would be a good option. So we'll do half in here, guys, and half in here. Such a mess. Toss this. Mine kind of went to the bottom, so I'm gonna grab it quick. Gosh. Yeah. Whatever.
Okay, to the other side. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. And use this back in. Hell. I didn't know how I'm gonna feel about this recipe, but I think it's gonna be really good. All right, so do you mind handing me a little dish or a bowl?
Sure.
I realized
Or
maybe, yeah.
just
Perfect.
a little?
We can dye it. We'll see if our plastic container turns red. All right, so we have beets. Once I just have to tell you guys, I was at a buffet when I was a kid, and I really love sliced cranberry sauce, the gelled one. My grandma used to give it to me all the time. And then, so there was a salad bar with these. I took so many of them, and I really thought they were that gelled cranberry sauce. And I got to tell you, if you think these are gelled, they don't taste like that at all. As a kid, I was just like, oh my gosh. So I'll never forget that. But okay, so we'll just kind of plate up some salad here. Some lentils. All right. And then we have beets. Really beautiful.
Nice plating.
What do we do? Top. And then to top it all off, we just get feta. And so let's divide the feta between the plates, and they're recommending about a third cup feta cheese for all of it. So I just have a little bit, so I'm just gonna sprinkle a little as it dumps out, right? Okay, so that's the lentil one, so you can see. And then I said to, I don't know if you guys are still with me. I haven't given up on me yet. Okay, so there's a little surprise that I have for you guys. I didn't tell my intern, but you know how we're talking about proteins today, and we're talking about, trying to do more plant-based or more close to the bottom of the food chain. And so I have a friend, really good friend, who gave me, because he knows me well, some of this. It's cricket powder. So I was just thinking, today might be a good day to look into this and see what it is. I've actually eaten a cricket before. I thought I'd never do it again, but okay. So in this 1/10 of this bag, it's 40 calories, and there is 1 gram of carbohydrates, so very low, basically 0.5 fat, so pretty much nothing. And it has protein, it's 8 grams. So that is like an awesome source of protein. I think an egg has 6 or 7 grams of protein, and so it's more than an egg, and it's only 40 calories. So if I wanted to add this in a smoothie or just eat it plain, I don't know if I'm gonna, I don't think so. But I was thinking it could kind of go in the lentils or something, but I think we should just at least look at it.
I'll try the cricket powder.
Okay, Amanda said I'm gonna like her. We should hire Amanda. Okay, so if I can get it open, yeah. What does it taste like? Is an excellent question. Once I bought my parents the granola bars. They sell granola bars with crickets in them. I'm gonna do something small. And so I gave it to them. You should have seen their face when they were. I was like, maybe you want to read the ingredients. But anyway, okay. let's, ooh. Okay, so the ingredients are, what do you think we should try it
I'll
plain?
test it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so the ingredients are, you guys, it says on their allergy warning, contains chitin, insect exoskeleton. If you are allergic to shrimp or other crustaceans, allergy reaction to the insects in this product is likely. So that's good to know. And it's, yeah, it's made in Thailand. And the only ingredient is there, it's, the ingredients are powdered house crickets. That's the only ingredient. So no added salt or anything. So no additives.
All right, we're gonna try it out.
It smells kind of like cocoa butter, which is a benefit. Smell it.
Okay, yeah, it has a really bland smell. All right, here goes nothing.
That's a cricket.
Mm,
Can you eat it?
yeah,
Okay, well.
don't eat it by itself. But
Now I gotta try it too. All right. So I guess, yeah, if you guys want to come to my office, I'll try to have some available for that. I'm gonna grab a quick spoon.
it's
You
not
guys don't
bad.
mind.
It almost reminds me of peanut butter.
Oh my god, like the powdered peanut butter?
Yes, yeah, a lot like that. But it's dry. It's hard to eat.
She's
by
giving
itself.
me confidence. It's like if you
Don't
don't
take
think
a big
about it,
bite.
right? Don't think of it. I was gonna mix it in stuff, but she's way more adventurous than I thought, so it does. I definitely recommend rinsing it and stuff. It does taste like, have you guys ever had that powdered peanut butter? That's what it tastes like. That is crazy. Okay, so let's see. Do we have any questions before we go? I will send the handouts. If you guys do make the recipes, if you could send those. Oh, golly, yeah. Thanks, Janetta. You know, I've read actually just about I've read some papers. I've thought about doing an insect class because there's a lot of research about the benefits of different ones that you can eat. There's a lot of vitamins and nutrients in them. So who knows, right? Maybe that'll be the next thing. Oh my gosh. So Joanne said she grew the beets in the garden. That is awesome. That's, yeah, so good for you. Okay, did pre-steam them. Yeah, good idea. Trying to see if there's any other. And you know, the salted juice, okay, I see what you're saying, drinking the juice from the can. That would make sense. Okay, so.
You can make your own beet juice.
Yeah, and I suppose Joanne would probably have beet juice from boiling the beets. And so I don't even know why I didn't think of that. You know, I was thinking you have to buy it, but you would just drain that. Yeah. So there would be some sodium in there. Let's see, what is a serving of beets? 11%. So there's 3.5 servings in the container. So you get 250, say you drink all the juice out of it, 250 times 3 would be 500, 750, like in a half, 850. So it'd be about 800 milligrams of sodium. So about per day, recommendations are 1,500 milligrams to 2,000, depending on if you have heart conditions or not. So, you know, you may, you could drink it throughout the day and you still be under, but yeah, so ideal, I suppose that's why some people probably buy it unsalted, like, you know, buy it. But okay, does anyone else have any questions? I really appreciate your patience. I wish you guys were here so you could try the cricket powder with me. Okay. Amanda, can you see if there's any questions? This thing is mean.
Yeah, I had asked how many servings, how big is a serving of raw greens? I see different things in different places.
Okay, yeah, about 1 cup. 1 cup is a serving. So.
Do you stir the lentils while you're cooking them?
Every once in a while, yes. Mine almost boiled over at first. You know, I put the cover on just to make sure it would boil over faster. And so then I ran and got it just in time before it boiled over in the office here. But yeah, and then I just, you know, like mine were kind of, you know, there were bubbles coming a little bit all the time and I could see the lentils moving. So that made me feel like I don't have to cook them as much or stir them as much. So.
I have a question. I have a question about the lentils also.
Yeah.
I bought a pack and it had like 3 different colors in it. The black, the green, and the red, I think, which looked very
Yes.
attractive. And I only cooked them about 15 minutes, but the black ones kind of stayed looking whole.
Okay.
But the others really kind of turned to mush. Is that normal? I've never cooked them.
Okay, so that is just exactly. It's funny. I'm surprised they put them all together, but some people like the black ones because I have a coworker who loves those. She tries to just find those, but they stay firmer, and then some of the other ones, like the red ones, I think they're used in dal a lot, and so that's that Indian dish where it's kind of creamy, and so I think it's just probably interesting because maybe the black ones, it's just, yeah. So I guess that is probably pretty normal. So you could have maybe, if you just bought like the brown, maybe you would like them less cooked. I kind of like the beans like more cooked, but some people do not. And I definitely, I think that's probably more the norm. So yeah, maybe if you got like one kind then and just cooked them less, that could work.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for telling me that there's that out there. Fun to try.
Karen wants to know how she can talk because it's not letting her unmute.
Ooh,
It says that the host has to
unmute
her,
you.
maybe.
Okay, let me try. See.
Yeah.
So hard on this computer.
Karen B.
Thank you, Karen, for your patience. Okay.
If they hit the top of the right-hand side of the page, their picture, they can mute and unmute.
Hello.
Did it worked? Did it work?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am well. How are you feeling? A little better? Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
I have a quick question on the olive oil. Do you
Yeah.
heat the pan first and put it in, and then heat the pan?
I have looked that up so many times because it seems to be like one way or the other. Some chefs recommend you put it in first and then heat the pan. Other people recommend, just heating the pan and then putting it in. And so I didn't, but I knew it's the immediate heat up pan. So like I would say usually maybe, honestly, I think you could do either way. So I've read both from top chefs. So just sometimes people think, like if you heat it with the pan, then it kind of like soaks into the pan, kind of like, which I guess could create a nonstick surface. But what I usually do is just heat the pan first and then add the olive oil because one of the chefs said that it would like stay on the surface more than like going into the pan because when the pan heats with the olive oil, then like they kind of come together, but otherwise the heat creates a surface that the oil can't penetrate, and that convinced me more than the other one. So that's what I usually do, but I think there could be either way. So.
Depends on the heat too, how hot it is.